Bonjour, everybody watching. Janine Nindishnakaz, Pitanka Duk Nindishnakaz Gae, Mainga Nindodem, Beaktagong and Ishnabik Nindoji. My name's Janine. I am part of the Wolf Clan. My spirit name means beautiful colored clouds coming in. And I'm from Beaktagong and Ishnabik. I'm here as a representative of Daliko and Ishnabik Family Care, Bamadzawin Widu Kagewin, the Good Life Helpers. And I was asked today to talk about one of the first medicines we've been given, and also our smudging practice, Nakwezo, and why these ceremonies and why we do these things and the importance and value of these things. And while working in this workplace, we come in contact with our Anishinaabe children and families, and it's important that we role model these ways of life and learn these ways of life. And just because we work somewhere doesn't mean that we can't learn these things. So I was offered Sema, and Sema is tobacco. This is tobacco, and that's sacred. It's been blessed, it's been prayed on. That sacred tobacco is a sacred contract between us and Creator. And when we're given that Sema, whether it be in a loose form, a pouch, a little tobacco tie, we're given an intention and we're given something to do. A request has been made with that Asema. And that Asema is one of the first medicines that we've been given as Anishinaabe people. It's the first thing that comes before ceremony happens. It's the first thing that happens before a request is made. If you're approaching an elder, or you're approaching a knowledge keeper, or you're approaching even somebody in your life who you need a request from, or are going to ask them for something, you approach them firstly with Sema, and you don't just give it to them and expect them to know what that Sema is for. You have to have the intention given, and it has to be done from your heart. And today I was offered a Sema, and it's okay to refuse a Sema if you're not ready. It's okay to refuse that request, because that request is a binding contract between you and Creator. And before this request had to be made, that had to be prayed on, that Sema. So what happened before I came out here, I took that Sema and I prayed to Creator. I prayed to Gitche Manitou. I asked him to say what I need to speak today. Ask what I need to know in order to pass on this message in a good way. And that's honoring that Asema. And then I put it down by a tree. You could put your Sema down by the water. You could put it by a tree. You could put it in the air. And we use all four elements. And how you put it in the air is you make a tie, a tobacco tie, and you put your Sema in there, and you don't just wrap it up, tie it up. Like I said, you have to have intention. And then you can tie it into a tree and have it blow. We have flags that we hold over our doorways sometimes, and you'll see them working in Daliko. You'll see these flags, and they're represented by the four colors. There's medicine in those flags, in those ties. There's medicine there. And some of the medicines that we're going to talk about today with the Nakwezo, we're going to know why that they're purposefully there. They're praying for the organization. They're praying for us to do good work. They're praying for every family, every child, every person that comes in those doors, that they come in and leave with good feelings. We pray and we feast these things every year. And we ask that Sema to work for us, through us. And we use our sacred items, and that's one of our first sacred items that we're given, is that tobacco. And we give our tobacco to those who need it, and we also give it in thanks. You'll see in our ceremony, you're offered tobacco. The only time you could say that you don't want to accept that tobacco is when you don't feel confident in your ability to fulfill that purpose and that request. But also if you're a woman who's experiencing her moon time, which is your menstrual cycle, you don't accept tobacco because it's a sacred medicine. But you could only hold sage during that time as a woman, because that's a woman's medicine. And you can't touch the other medicines because you're on a sacred ceremony. So it's okay to say, Gawin, no, I don't accept the tobacco, but I'm sure somebody else can. And I refuse tobacco because I know I'm not ready to speak on that. And I ask that tobacco, that Sema, to help me whenever I have to do something. Every morning you could put down your Sema. You don't have to be a Anishinaabe to follow this way of life. You don't have to be a Anishinaabe to pick up medicines, because these medicines have been given freely from Mother Earth for our using, for our doing. And we're all encompassed in that medicine wheel. All people are connected in that wheel. So when we use our Sema, it's in a good way, and it has to be done firstly. You can't expect an elder to come there and not know and know what you need from them. You have to give your offerings up, because nothing in this life is free. And that's our Anishinaabe way. That's why we do giveaways and do gatherings, and why we give thanks by offering somebody else tobacco at the end of something. It's the beginning and the end. And we put our Sema down at the end. And we put our gifts, our offerings down at the end of all ceremony. This happens first. That's the first start of our ceremony, Sema. And so you'll notice when we work, we smudge. Some carry a shell, some carry a small frying pan, some carry a vessel. It doesn't have to be an abalone shell that you're used to seeing. It could be anything that will hold that medicine. Anything could be sacred as long as it's been given that purpose and given that good intention. Anything could be sacred. So that Nokwezo, that smudging ceremony that we do, we put all 4 medicines in that Nokwezo. Sometimes we leave our Sema out, but we put it down when we put our Nokwezo down. When that smudge is already burnt up and used, we put it down outside, and then that's given back to Creator. So we use the 4 sacred medicines: tobacco, sage, sweetgrass, and cedar. And those are what are in those ties as well. All those 4 medicines. The tobacco, I said, is used for our connection to Creator, our prayers, our requests, our feelings. And when we hold our tobacco and accept tobacco, it's in our left hand, because our left hand's connected to our heart. And our heart tells us what we need to say and do. And sometimes we don't have to say anything. When we put it down for ourselves, we don't have to say it out loud. You'll notice children and some families don't know this way, and you may not as well. And we just hold it, and we'll find the words and the courage we need when we're ready to say the words we need to say. We use our gijik, that cedar, and that's used for protection. That's used for healing. That's a different medicine. That can be harvested all year round here. And the way we use that is we use it in our Nokwezo, our smudge. And then we also use sage, which I said is the woman's medicine. It's a cleansing before we enter into ceremony. Before we enter into anything, we cleanse ourselves of that negativity, so we may be open-minded when we go into something. So you'll always see a ceremony started off with a smudge, and usually the sage is always present, because we use that sage no matter what, and we might leave the other medicines out to accommodate the women so they could still have that Nokwezo, they could still participate. But we'll keep in the sweetgrass, and that sweetgrass is Mother Earth's hair, and it's found in the summer. And that Mother Earth's hair allows us to actually purify ourselves and cleanse ourselves, and it smells so sweet that the good spirits are drawn to it. And that's why we add it in there, our Nokwezo, because we're asking that the ancestors come and be with us in that moment of cleansing. So we may be open to everything around us. We may do things in a good way. So we wash our hands with that smoke, so our hands could do good things. And when that smoke has come to you, we cleanse our eyes. You'll see people remove their jewelry, remove their glasses and hats and keys. You'll see people remove those things because the spirits know that it's not your original form. You didn't come in with those earrings. You didn't come in with those rings. You didn't come in with that keys and things. Wants you in your original self. The shininess of your rings could distract the spirits. When you can't take off your rings, women or men, we just smudge them a little extra. We say our sorries that we can't take those off, but they become a part of us. But we smudge our eyes so we see good things. We smudge our ears so we hear good things and good messages. We smudge our hearts so we may feel good things and empathy for others and be compassionate to others. We smudge our mouths so we may speak in a good way. I also hold this miguin, this feather, because you'll see people hold that because that gives us the ability to speak from our heart. The eagle teaches us love, and you'll see that it's held when the smudging ceremony happens. Sometimes you'll see that eagle feather held above that person because we're giving them the strength and that love for themselves, because it's in this action that you're cleansing yourself, not for everybody else, but for yourself. You're giving yourself that little bit of self-care to let go of those burdens that you came into the space with, and cleanse yourself and do something mindfully for yourself with good intentions. And when we hold that feather and when we use that feather in ceremony, it takes it up to Creator. That's a messenger, the eagle. So that's why we hold that feather, you'll see, in our left hand to connect our heart again and allow us to walk in a good way on the path. But we could smudge our minds to feel good things, to think good thoughts. You'll see me do it a few times, over and over. Sometimes a little too much. I'll focus everywhere else. This one, because my mind goes all different directions. And sometimes it takes me a place of negativity. And that's okay, you're human. So you do that. You do that for yourself. You know that you're just a humble vessel of this world and that we're not no better than anybody else. And you'll see everybody smudge in their own way. There's no right way or wrong way to smudge. It's a cleanse for yourself, your own spirit, your own heart. Some people smudge their feet, and with young children, they love this, smudging their feet. It allows you to walk in a good way. You smudge your feet and they'll take off their shoes, they'll take off their socks, and they'll wiggle their little toes around, and they'll love smudging their feet. They love the action. I have a 2-year-old, and he goes, nice, 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 because he knows that's nice for himself, and he knows that action is nice in what he does. I say, we're gonna smudge now. Nice. And he treats that feather nice, nice. It's only in the little things that we do. We could teach others, but we have to do it for ourselves first. And that's all I'll share today. Chimigwach.